What if your dog could be pregnant and you had absolutely no idea? Maybe she's sleeping more. Maybe she's suddenly following you around the house. Maybe she's eating differently, acting unusually quiet, or even starting to rearrange blankets like she's preparing for something. Most owners would simply call these weird dog behaviors. But sometimes they're clues. And here's what makes dog pregnancy so easy to miss. The earliest signs can be incredibly subtle. Some dogs barely look different at first. And some don't show obvious physical changes until much later. Today, we're going through 10 early signs your female dog may be pregnant, from changes you can see in her body to changes in her appetite, energy, mood, and behavior. And number 7 is especially interesting because it can reveal a major change in the way your dog interacts with you. But there's one important thing you need to know before we begin. None of these signs alone can prove that your dog is pregnant. Several of them can also happen during a dog's normal heat cycle or during a false pregnancy. So watch until the end, because I'll also explain how pregnancy can actually be confirmed and when it's time to talk to your veterinarian. Let's begin with sign number 1. Sign number 1. Her appetite starts to change. One of the first things you may notice is a change in the way your dog eats. But here's where it gets interesting. A pregnant dog doesn't necessarily become extremely hungry right away. In fact, during the early stages of pregnancy, some dogs may temporarily eat less. She might suddenly become picky. She may approach her food bowl, sniff it, and walk away. Or she may seem slightly nauseous or less interested in meals. Later in pregnancy, however, her appetite may increase as her nutritional needs change. And that's why you shouldn't look for only one specific appetite pattern. Instead, pay attention to a noticeable change from her normal routine. If your dog has always finished her breakfast in seconds and suddenly becomes uninterested in food, that's worth noticing, but don't immediately assume pregnancy. Stress, illness, dietary changes, heat cycles, and other health issues can also affect appetite. The key is the combination of signs, and that brings us to number 2. Sign number 2. She's sleeping more than usual. Does your normally energetic dog suddenly seem tired? Maybe she doesn't want to play as long. Maybe she takes more naps during the day. Or perhaps she seems perfectly happy just lying next to you instead of running around the house. Increased tiredness can happen during pregnancy because her body is going through major hormonal and physical changes. But again, there's an important distinction. A little extra sleep can be normal. Extreme lethargy is not something you should simply blame on pregnancy. If your dog seems weak, unusually ill, refuses food or water, vomits repeatedly, has difficulty breathing, collapses, or simply seems seriously unwell, that's a reason to contact a veterinarian. For a healthy dog, however, a noticeable decrease in energy can be one of the changes owners observe. And sometimes the change isn't just physical. It can affect her daily personality too. Which leads us to number 3. Signs number 3. Her nipples may become more noticeable. This is one of the physical changes many owners notice. During pregnancy, hormonal changes can cause the mammary glands and nipples to become more prominent. They may look slightly larger or more noticeable than they normally do. Later in pregnancy, the mammary glands can become even more developed as her body prepares for nursing puppies. But here's something important. Enlarged nipples do not automatically mean pregnancy. Female dogs can experience hormonal changes after a heat cycle, including a condition commonly called a false pregnancy, or pseudo-pregnancy. So if you see changes around the mammary glands, don't use that one sign as your confirmation. Instead, think of it as another piece of the puzzle. And speaking of puzzles, the next sign is one that can be much harder to notice. Sign number 4. She starts acting differently around food. You've already noticed that her appetite can change, but there's another subtle clue. Her relationship with food may become different. She might suddenly prefer smaller meals. She may seem more selective about what she eats. Or she may become more interested in food at certain times of the day. Some pregnant dogs experience changes in appetite throughout pregnancy, rather than following one predictable pattern. And this is where knowing your individual dog becomes incredibly valuable, because nobody knows your dog's normal routine better than you. You know how quickly she normally eats. You know whether she begs for food. You know whether she ignores breakfast. And you know what her normal habits look like. So instead of asking, "Is my dog eating more?" ask, "Is my dog's normal eating behavior changing?" That question can reveal much more. And now we get to a sign that starts becoming more visible. Sign number 5. Her belly may begin to change as pregnancy progresses. A dog's abdomen may gradually become larger. But don't expect a dramatic baby bump immediately. In the earliest stages, there may be little or nothing obvious to see. That's why relying on your dog's belly alone can be misleading. Later in pregnancy, abdominal enlargement can become more noticeable, especially as the puppies grow. But there's another important reason not to diagnose pregnancy just by looking at the abdomen. A larger belly can have many causes: weight gain, bloating, digestive problems, medical conditions, or even changes associated with a false pregnancy. So if your dog's abdomen suddenly becomes swollen, painful, or unusually firm, or if she's showing signs of illness, don't wait and assume she is pregnant. Get veterinary advice, because sometimes the difference between normal pregnancy and something is wrong isn't obvious from the outside. Now, let's move into something owners often notice before any major physical changes appear. Sign number 6. She becomes more restless or starts nesting. Imagine walking into your living room and seeing your dog moving blankets around. She scratches at her bed. She pushes pillows into a corner. She rearranges towels. She keeps returning to the same quiet spot. What is she doing? In some pregnant dogs, this type of behavior can be part of nesting. Nesting is an instinctive behavior associated with preparing a safe and comfortable place for birth. And when it happens during late pregnancy, it can be especially noticeable. But here's the surprising part. Nesting-like behavior isn't exclusive to pregnancy. Dogs experiencing a false pregnancy can also show nesting behaviors. So once again, context matters. If nesting appears alongside several other pregnancy-related changes, it becomes more interesting, but it still isn't proof. And now, we're getting close to the sign many dog owners find the most fascinating. Because number 7 isn't mainly about her body, it's about her behavior toward you. Sign number 7, her behavior toward you changes. This is the one many owners miss. Your dog may suddenly become more affectionate. She may follow you from room to room. She may want to sleep closer to you. She may constantly seek your attention. Or, depending on the individual dog, she may become more withdrawn and prefer quiet spaces. Think about it. Your dog normally lies in her own bed. But suddenly, every time you stand up, she follows. You walk into the kitchen, she follows. You go upstairs, she follows. You sit on the couch, and suddenly she's right beside you. You might think, she's just being clingy. But changes in social behavior can occur during pregnancy as a dog's hormones and physical state change. However, this is also where dog psychology becomes important. Dogs don't always communicate discomfort or internal changes in obvious ways. Sometimes they change their behavior before owners notice any physical difference. That's why behavior is worth observing. But remember, a dog becoming clingy does not mean she's definitely pregnant. Dogs can become more attached because of stress, changes in routine, anxiety, illness, environmental changes, or simply because they want attention. So don't diagnose pregnancy based on behavior alone. Instead, ask yourself, what else has changed? Because when several changes happen together, the picture becomes much clearer. And we're not finished yet. Run. Sign number 8. She may become more sensitive or irritable. Here's something that can surprise owners. Your normally patient dog may suddenly have a shorter tolerance for certain interactions. Maybe she doesn't want to be touched in the same way. Maybe she prefers more personal space. Maybe she's quieter than usual. Or perhaps she's simply more sensitive to what's happening around her. Pregnancy can involve hormonal and physical changes that affect behavior. But again, don't assume every personality change is pregnancy. If your dog suddenly becomes aggressive, fearful, extremely anxious, or reacts painfully when touched, that deserves attention. A sudden behavior change can sometimes be a sign that your dog is uncomfortable or unwell. This is one reason understanding your dog's normal baseline behavior is so powerful. You can't recognize an unusual behavior if you don't know what normal looks like. So observe, don't panic, and don't ignore major changes. Now, let's move to another subtle sign. Sign number 9. Her body shape and weight may change. As pregnancy progresses, your dog's body may gradually change. Her weight may increase. Her abdomen may become more noticeable. Her mammary glands may develop. And eventually, the physical signs can become much easier to recognize. But early pregnancy is different. At the beginning, you may see almost nothing. That's why some owners don't realize their dog is pregnant until several weeks have passed. And here's another important point. Don't try to make your dog gain weight just because you suspect pregnancy. Feeding too much can create its own problems. A pregnant dog's nutritional needs change as pregnancy progresses, but the right diet and feeding plan should be discussed with a veterinarian. Especially if pregnancy is confirmed, the goal isn't simply to make her heavier. The goal is to keep both the mother and developing puppies healthy. And now we have reached the final sign. This one is less about one specific symptom and more about the pattern. Sign number 10. Multiple changes start appearing together. This may actually be the biggest clue of all. One symptom doesn't tell you much. Your dog sleeping more could be normal. Eating differently could have many causes. More affectionate could simply mean she wants attention. Nesting could happen with false pregnancy. But what happens when several changes appear together? She's eating differently. She's sleeping more. Her nipples look different. She's becoming more attached to you. She's showing nesting behavior. Her body is gradually changing. Now, you have a pattern worth discussing with a veterinarian. This is one of the biggest mistakes owners make. They search for one magical sign that says, yes, she's pregnant. But real life doesn't always work that way. Pregnancy is a process, and the signs can appear at different times. That's why observation is so important. But there's still one question. How do you actually know if your dog is pregnant? How can you confirm dog pregnancy? If you genuinely suspect pregnancy, Don't rely only on internet checklists or visual changes. A veterinarian can use appropriate diagnostic methods to confirm pregnancy. Depending on timing and circumstances, veterinarians may use techniques such as ultrasound, a blood test for the pregnancy-associated hormone relaxin, and later in pregnancy, radiographs. Ultrasound can help assess pregnancy earlier and can also provide information about fetal viability. Relaxin testing can be useful because relaxin is associated with pregnancy in dogs, although timing matters. Radiographs are generally more useful later in pregnancy because the developing puppy's skeletons need to be sufficiently mineralized to show clearly. And here's something especially important. False pregnancy can look surprisingly similar to real pregnancy. A dog that isn't pregnant may still develop enlarged mammary glands, produce milk, gain weight, become restless, carry toys, or build a nest. That's why confirmation matters. A quick warning for dog owners. If your dog might be pregnant, don't try to diagnose or treat her yourself. And don't give her human medications or supplements without veterinary guidance. If she develops severe vomiting, significant weakness, collapse, difficulty breathing, severe abdominal pain, abnormal vaginal discharge, fever, or another concerning symptom, contact a veterinarian promptly. Pregnancy is normal, but not every symptom during pregnancy is normal. Your job isn't to become your dog's veterinarian. Your job is to notice changes early and get professional help when something doesn't look right. The bigger dog psychology lesson. And here's the bigger lesson behind this entire video. Your dog can't walk up to you and say, "Something feels different inside my body." She communicates through behavior, through appetite, through sleep, through body language, through social interaction, through changes in her normal routine. And when you learn to recognize those signals, you aren't just becoming a better dog owner. You're learning your dog's language. That's what makes understanding dog psychology so powerful. The goal isn't to obsess over every tiny behavior. It's to notice meaningful changes. Know your dog's normal. Watch for patterns. And when something seems genuinely unusual, don't ignore it.